All right, welcome to another episode of our EP podcast. Today we have Paulina today. How are you doing?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited, a little bit nervous, so let's hope this goes well.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So how's it going for the new year, 2022?
It's going good. I just got a new job back in November, so
Nice.
It was a big rush between November and December, so we got a little quiet time. Now we're ramping up again, so there's a lot of things to do with my new job. I'm now an executive assistant for a nonprofit organization.
Whoa.
So yeah, so it's a big step of what I used to do before. So there's a lot of things to do with governance, a lot of different committees and stuff like that, and a lot of different stakeholders and stuff like that. So it's a big new learning curve for me. So I'm really excited, but again, nervous. But like I said, you take one step at a time and you'll deal with it.
So is this like an HR kind of job? Like you have to conduct things for the teams?
So basically, I'm an executive assistant for a CEO, and so I help with governance with all the other different committees. So like with the advocacy committee, with community service, with governance. So just kind of being a support to them. So like kind of doing admin work and paper pushing and all that kind of stuff. But I honestly love all that kind of stuff. So I'm very excited that I kind of can help become glue to all the teams.
Yeah.
So
It's a really integral part of the whole team because you're kind of helping them solve their issues, be it with the team or personal, and being the glue for everybody.
Basically, if anything falls apart, they're like, Paulina, what's going on? And I was like, oh my god, wait, give me a second.
So how's it been after the holidays now, getting back into the workflow and stuff? Are people coming back with any concerns or anything?
So we just recently changed IT companies and stuff like that. So there's been a little couple of hiccups and stuff like that. So a lot of people do, instead of going to the IT company, they'll come to me first and be like, hey, can you fix this? And I'm like, no, that's the IT company's problem. But here, I can help direct you into the right direction. So again, if I can't solve their problem, I try to find the best possible solution for them.
That's good.
It's exciting because I like helping out people. So in this role, I get to do that, and so I get to work with a lot of different people, especially people in the company. The organization, but also people that are not a part of the organization, that are part of the board of directors and other stakeholders and stuff like that. So I'm exposed to a lot of different people.
Oh, look at you! Don't forget me when you're at the top, man. So you were showing me your setup there. So you're working from home. What's that like now?
So I'm working from home and then I go one day in a week. So working from home is definitely challenging because there's so many distractions.
Yeah.
I smell something my mom's cooking downstairs, I run downstairs to go see what she's cooking.
Yeah.
Or we have a little puppy and he'll come and he'll scratch my leg for me to heist him. And
yeah, you had him running here just now. Now he's gonna eat me, man. Tell me a bit about him. What was it like bringing him into the family?
So it was kind of we've always talked about having a puppy, and my mom turned 50 last year, so we decided that would be a nice gesture to kind of give her that, and especially going through this whole COVID situation. Some people's mental health is just really low. And when we brought Prince into our lives, it was a brand new, fresh breath of air. We learned so much from him, how to be patient, how to learn his cues and stuff like that. So it was kind of a big learning curve for all of us together. And I think also ultimately it bonded us all together as well, because he's just he'll just sit on the sofa and we'll all be here just pawning over him.
Yeah.
So he is just he has so much personality. He loves home cooked food. He loves chow mein. And he loves chicken and stuff like that. So he's like a little prince. So,
wow. Hence the name.
Exactly.
Yeah, it looks like he's really comfortable with you. You took the bone and you were walking him away so he's not scratching at the floors for us to make the sounds just now.
Yeah.
That was really cool. It's you have another companion there.
Exactly. He's So they refer, so he's my mom's dog, so I guess he's our dog brother, dog sister. So instead of him calling me instead of all of us referring to me as Paulina, we'll refer to as Didi.
Aww.
So they're oh, we're going to Didi's car, or we're going to Didi's room, or whatever
Nice.
that. So it's kind of funny I have to tie Rocky. I tied Rocky on him.
Oh my gosh. That is cute. That is quite something. That's how you know that's family.
Exactly.
Nice. I know you have your brother as well.
Yeah.
And your mom and your dad.
Yeah.
Nice. So what kind of cool things have you guys been doing at home? Anything fun?
So we do a lot of we like to watch sitcoms together.
Nice. What are you guys watching?
We were watching The Neighborhood.
Ooh, I haven't heard about that
it's
one.
I think it's on CTV or CBC.
Oh.
It's pretty good. So usually when we'll have dinner together, we'll just put on a sitcom. We went through The Big Bang Theory.
Nice.
We went through Kim's Convenience recently.
That's a good one.
So we really like to bond over those kind of things. Cooking is also another thing that especially me, my mom, and my brother, we bond through.
Yeah.
So Jason likes to, he's starting to like cook more and stuff like that. So he'll make food and stuff like that for himself and stuff like that. So he'll ask my mom for opinions, and then my mom would be downstairs cooking and stuff like that. So definitely like throughout all of this, we kind of just got in like a little bit closer together on doing family things together. So
and that's a common thing I think that has happened in the past 3 years. So like a lot of people, families just getting closer. Like for me, I was always busy with photography bookings or work or whatever. Now it's like I have time to just be. Like
exactly. You could just like actually relax.
Yeah.
And just like not do anything and like not have your brain run constantly.
Yeah.
I know like before like all of us were like hustling and grinding, and now it's like okay, we only can hustle and grind for a certain extent, and then we have all this free time now.
Yeah. Are you still finding time to like go see your friends or go out on dates or anything like that with your boyfriend?
So when me and my boyfriend met, we met during COVID.
Yeah.
So our dating, going on dates, stuff like that has been very like creative, I guess you can say, because we never got to go to like the normal like go to the movies or go like to restaurants and that kind of stuff. So actually on our first date we had like a picnic in a park.
Whoa.
Yeah, he actually made everything. He made the food, he brought picnic blanket.
A guy that can cook.
Yeah.
Nice.
Picnic blankets.
Score.
Exactly. So after that, like we used to do a lot of outdoor things, so like just going on hikes and that kind of stuff. And before that, it was like the normal thing. You're like, okay, let's go to a bar to drink, or let's go to a restaurant to have food. But now you kind of take away those elements. So you have
to be creative with it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's been a lot too. So I've gone into like different hobbies and stuff like that, which is. Some of them didn't stick, some of them did stick. Like I started doing the tie-dyeing the shirts, and I started doing some painting, but again, like nothing really stuck. So I'm still kind of looking for that perfect hobby. But
that's a really cool one. I've seen some people buy like the Cricut machine, and they print like the vinyl things, they put it on it, and like they create a business. Like there's a lot of people doing it now, and it's like really amazing to see like how creative they could be.
Yeah, I know. And like again, like we're home doing nothing. If you're mindlessly like just scrolling through your phone, at least like you can use that time to do something productive. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. I discovered Amazon Prime has like all the 90s Bollywood movies, and me and my sisters have been watching a lot of movies. But yeah, it's better than just like sitting around. Like it's fun to just bond and be together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So apart from all of that, like anything else kind of new in your life?
So with this new job especially, I kind of like started learning more about like the community that we serve and stuff like that. So I'm just kind of doing research on my own as well, and kind of trying to put myself out there into different support groups and stuff like that to kind of learn more, get a more mindset of like what I'm walking into. So that's really exciting because I love to learn, and I love to learn new things, and just having this brand new perspective on like a job and stuff like that, and also coming into a job that I feel like that I'm also helping somebody instead of just working at a corporate like 9-to-5 job where I'm just like pumped, like making money for this company. This is definitely like a bit of fresh air of kind of everything we've gone through and stuff like that this year, and it's just like there's a lot of people that are vulnerable out there that need the help, and working with this organization, I feel like I'm kind of doing a bit of part of society. Yeah. So that's exciting. I want to get back into traveling.
Nice.
I have been missing out so much, but I guess one good thing about it is that I've actually got to travel within Canada, I guess you could say.
So
So we've done a lot of trips. Like I've never been to Blue Mountain before this, so we went to Blue Mountain.
Blue Mountain what was that like?
It was really nice. We went in the summertime and just like the mountains, and we went hiking. And
so they actually have the snow and stuff in the summertime, like
no, they don't. No, it's just like a regular mountain and stuff like that. But we went hiking into the scenic caves. Yeah, that is really cool because it's literally like you're going into caves. So that was a lot of fun, and I went to Montreal, I went to Quebec City. And before COVID, I would have never thought to do any of this. So I guess in that kind of sense, it helped me a little bit. But I want to get back doing like things more internationally.
That's good, yeah.
So I'm hoping this year I can do some more traveling or within the next couple of years.
I hope so too. Yeah. So it sounds so cool. So it sounds like the Paulina I'm talking to right now is very adventurous, very inquisitive, very family oriented, very lovable and caring. So do you feel like the young Paulina, maybe like your toddler days or adolescent, teenager time, do you feel like a lot of these traits were kind of also present?
I definitely think when I was younger, my mom, I think where I got the traveling kind of sense from was like my mom she always wants to travel.
Nice.
And she never got the opportunity to, so she kind of like, as soon as we were like 10 and stuff like that, she took us to like Florida, and they took us to like New York and Pennsylvania, like places in the States. So I think that kind of traveling mentality and that kind of passion grew when I was younger.
Nice.
And as I got older, I was like, no, like there's way more places I want to go see. You know, you like scrolling and whatever, you're like, yeah, I want to go to Bali and Indonesia and Singapore and all these different places. So I think as I, you know, you start to work and all that kind of stuff, and it's like, I have to work for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to win the lottery anytime soon. So, you know, you work hard and you play hard. So through all that time, I remember going through school and stuff like that. I always wanted to travel. That was like an avid thing I wanted to do, and I worked very hard. Like through school, even through university and stuff like that. I really pushed through and was like, I did international business when I was at Wolf Humber. I was very, very adamant that I wanted to go away and like kind of travel and work and stuff like that. But there were certain circumstances where I couldn't do it. And I was like, okay, if I can't do that, then I'll definitely want to work my ass hard here. And then when I get the downtime, go and travel and stuff like that. So I had the opportunity to go to Guyana 2 years. I still have family there. Going to Florida, to the Caribbean and stuff like that. So again, I still want to kind of keep on checking off this off my bucket list. So, and even growing up too, like, I think the family orientated like part of my personality definitely comes from my family. Like when we were younger and stuff like that, I have cousins that we all grew up like siblings together. They're like second cousins and first cousins, stuff like that, but we all grew up like together. And that I want to definitely take away with me when I'm in the future, stuff like that, when I have my own family and stuff like that. I want us all to like live together just like how I live with my cousins and stuff like that. So all of those traits that I have today definitely were a part of when I was younger.
Very interesting. I feel like for me growing up, I was never really like into change. I felt like I always wanted to be with whatever I was comfortable with. So like traveling and stuff, I didn't really care for it before, but I think now being like locked up and stuff, I started like taking my sisters and my girlfriend out to like, you know, just Toronto, just like scenic areas around the GTA, and it's like it looks so cool. I wonder like how the rest of the world might look. And like I've done like Jamaica, Florida, Barbados for like photography work. And it definitely opens your mind to like how the rest of the world might look, like Tokyo, Japan, places that we've never seen in person. We see pictures.
About, right? No, it's I think traveling is something that everybody should experience, because not only like you get to see like different parts of like the countries and stuff like that, but you also get to experience different cultures. And see like how people live in like these remote places or these third world countries and stuff like that. Like things that we take for granted, they don't take for granted. You know, I remember one time we went to, I believe it was Dominican Republic with my family. We went on an inclusive, and we were giving away, there was this little girl, and we had a bag, and we had like fruits and stuff like that stuck inside, so my mom gave it to her, not knowing that was also $100 of their money in that pocket. So when we got back to the resort, Mom was like, where's $100? Like, I don't know where it is. And Mom was like, I think it was in the bag. And it's just like, that $100, we would have spent it on like some souvenir or like some bottle of rum at the duty free or something like that. But that $100 meant so much more to that girl. Like she must have gotten like some educational stuff or clothing
supplies
and stuff like that. So just like seeing those small things really open up your eye to how fortunate we are here. And like, you know, I think it's important for everybody to experience something like that back in like different countries and stuff like that.
I think very beautifully said. Like, we are so privileged to be in a place where we can afford so many things. We can get jobs, education. We have internet. We have access to endless educational resources, and even just create a business out of anything. And people out there don't have internet. They don't have these resources or whatever. It's like really puts into perspective there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for you growing up, like what was something that really excited you about life?
It's gonna be weird to say, but I was always excited like being an adult. Now I'm just like, Paulina, why?
Oh my gosh.
Like I remember when I was 16, the day after I turned 16, I went and I got my driver's license. Like I went to Downsview and I did my test and I passed, and I was so happy. And I made sure I did like driving school, and 8 months after, bam, I got my G2 or whatever.
Nice.
Then a year after that, I made sure I got my G. Like I think the independence of that, whereas like, oh yeah, if I could drive myself to go to the mall or go to the grocery store or go see my friends or whatever, that excited me. And I think also like with the mindset of travel and stuff like that, I know like, okay, if I'm like older and stuff like that, I can go travel and I can go do things and stuff like that. So I think it was weird. As a young kid, I was excited to be an adult. And now I'm just like, oh, damn it. Like, you know, there's so many, like, also being an adult is fun, but you also have so many responsibilities.
It's a lot of responsibilities. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, we have like bills to pay now, we have work, we have to wake up. We can't just stay in our bed all day.
I know,
it's a lot of things.
Can't do it. So
now that you are an adult, what are some things that you are passionate about now?
Right now, I think I'm really passionate about like kind of like personal development and stuff like that. So again, in this new job that I have, kind of just like learning more about that and seeing like different skills and stuff like that I have. So invested in kind of just like investing in basically in myself.
Yeah.
So kind of like picking up a couple different courses and learning different things, and those are the things that kind of excite me, like, you know, learning new things and like how I can be much more of like an asset to somebody or to a company and stuff like that. So another thing that excites me too is like I recently got into a relationship too, so seeing how that's gonna progress.
That is very exciting. Like seeing another part of the evolution of our life.
Exactly. It's like, you know, before this I never had a boyfriend too, so it's like my first relationship, so like kind of learning from all of that too. You know, learning about like how somebody else acts and like how my actions would impact somebody else, and like, you know, like different hobbies that he has and different hobbies that I have, so kind of like meshing all that together. So that is also exciting too, and like just seeing where that relationship is gonna go in the next couple of years. So that's really exciting too.
I think that ties in your adventurous traits as well, because it's kind of an adventure too.
Yeah, it's a big adventure.
Really, really cool.
We're constantly climbing mountains and going over rocks and, you know,
and stuff.
exactly. So, definitely right now I think just what's exciting me is like that I have the opportunity to do all these personal developments on myself, and also like I have the happiness of having him in my life. So those things kind of just progressing and seeing what's going to happen for the future. It's really like exciting. Again, a little nervous, but
exciting. Of course. The uncertainty and the mystery of life and what's to happen next is always something that we're thinking about, but that's beautiful. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to answer another question shortly. All right, so we had a very, very nice introduction there about your past and a lot of the things that excite you from before. So now I want to know, like, what are some things that you have planned for maybe the next 5 years or 10 years, maybe the entire future? What are some aspirations you have?
So definitely like family-wise, I kind of want to, like, in the next 5 years, I kind of want to start a family. So hopefully have a little Paulina running around. Definitely that, and kind of, you know, give my family everything that I was given and more as well. So kind of career-wise too, I kind of want to start getting more into the career that I'm in right now, kind of moving up in kind of like a management position as well. So I do work part-time at a retail store as well, so I kind of want to work myself up into a management position there as well. And kind of see where that goes. I feel like I'm a good leader. I don't know if that's cliche to say or not, but I've always, like, even in my current role right now, I'm always there as an aide for all the younger employees and stuff like that, to kind of just give them a guidance on how everything works and stuff like that. So I feel like I can use all of that knowledge and kind of just keep going higher and higher and higher. So
it's always a nice feeling when you can like walk somebody through something, help them to do it, and that sense of accomplishment, I feel, is what motivates me so much when I'm doing things, like just helping somebody see the ropes of something and seeing them progress and the success that like shows in their eyes, like the aha moment. It makes me feel so happy, like like you could do it. It's so
definitely
nice.
Like, you know, all the hardships or whatever I went through, I'm able to like learn from all of them. I'm like, okay, no, don't do it like this. You're gonna get like X, Y. No, do it like this, and you'll be able to be more successful, basically. So if I can help out somebody to like get that or get into that way, obviously that you feel a sense of accomplishment, like, I did a good thing and I was able to help somebody else to, you know, be successful in life or be successful in their job and stuff like that.
Is there like a situation that kind of happened recently where you had to show somebody something and maybe they weren't really understanding and you helped them achieve it?
Definitely at work. I'm a shift leader at my job. So there's a lot of situations where, you know, obviously like customers come in and they're very agitated about something that happened or whatever. So again, we have to kind of be like, you have to be calm and collective. And with the situation that we're in now, it's hard to be calm and collective, you know.
Definitely.
Retail workers are constantly being bombarded and like, you know, you're constantly being that kind of like outlet for people to like be mean to, for them. They basically can be angry about something else that happened way out of the store, and then come inside, and then you just say one word, and they blast on you.
Yeah.
So there was a situation where there was a customer, and I'm not sure what the context of the situation was. Basically, obviously, the customer got angry at my employee, and my employee was about to like go back, and I was like, no. I was like, here, come with me, like, I'll talk. So I talked on the customer, and I explained, and I apologized, and I basically also, along with all apologizing, I kind of let the customer know like where we are in our kind of state. You know, we're working here, we're overburned, we're overtired, and you know, you have to kind of be a bit respectful, I guess, in a sense, where you know you have to kind of respect where we're coming from, and I understand maybe you had a bad day, but we are not a part of that kind of thing.
It's not fair to just take it out and lash out.
So
like that, yeah.
I was able to talk down the customer, and also like I went back to my employee and was like, hey, I understand you're frustrated. You have 100% right to be frustrated, but there's a way that you have to conduct yourself. So I explained to them like the situation, how I would handle it, and so they kind of learned from me like, okay, I get where you're coming from, and I understand, and okay, I'll be mindful next time. So kind of like hearing him say that, so I think it was like, okay, you know, at least in case the situation arises again, at least maybe he'll have a better solution towards it instead of just being like no. So
I saw that on Instagram too, like I think recently when they changed the rules for all the students to do, like kids in high schools, whatever, to do school again from home, everybody got mad at the district, like the teachers and supervisors, and they were thinking like they're the ones making the rules, but they have to be at home too, still teaching virtually too, and it's not fair to them. And like I think that's a huge thing that's been happening right now, and I'm seeing them being unfairly treated by all the parents of all the kids.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's crazy. Like the respect needs to be there.
Obviously, definitely. And like again, in the situation that we're in, everybody's upset, everybody's mad, everybody's frustrated, and everybody's looking for an outlet to let their anger out.
Yeah.
But doing it to people who are just doing their jobs and who are just like the result of the outcomes of whatever's going on, that's not the right person to. But again, is there even a right person to let your anger out with?
Yeah, that's
right. So that's when you have to find kind of like healthier ways of like dealing with frustration, with stress and stuff like that. Like I know for me, like just hanging out with my puppy Prince and just like watching a movie, like definitely de-stresses me. You know, my boyfriend Chris, he plays video games, and that's what de-stresses him. So there are healthier alternatives there to handle your stress.
Of course,
you have to find that.
Yeah. I feel like with me, not really distracting myself from the issue, because that's not a solution at all, right? But rather, like just taking some time to just breathe, relax, and just de-stress from it. What advice do you have for anybody who's kind of going through frustrations?
When I dealt with a lot of frustration, especially when my mom was sick back in 2016. So I heard somebody tell me, God doesn't give you nothing you can't handle. And that kind of resonated with me for a very, very long time. When my mom was sick, it was kind of like, she was sick at the beginning of 2016. I was in my last year semester at university. So there was a lot of pressure aside from her, there was a lot of pressure in my life as well. And so I constantly was dealing with stress. I was constantly lashing out. I was not the Paulenia that I am today. And it took me a while to figure out how to deal with that stress. You know, I stress ate a lot. I used to kind of go out just to, again, distract myself from it, but that wouldn't solve the problem. So then I found out I need to talk to somebody, and I don't think that's a shame in anything like that. So I contacted somebody to talk to through EAP service. I'm at work, and she helped me talk me out of how I can deal with things on my own. What are things out of my control versus what are things in my control? Because I was worried and stressing about things that were out of my control. I couldn't control them at all. Why am I stressing about them? Let me control things that I can control in my life. And in our West Indian community, mental illness or mental health is such a stigmatism. And the world that we're living in, it shouldn't be a stigmatism. If you are dealing with either with anxiety, depression, any sort of stress or any sort of mental illness, you should definitely be able to voice your concerns and go get help. I did the same thing. There was a long time of like I was denying it. I was like, no, it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. But at some point I was like, no, this is affecting me personally. This is affecting me through my career and stuff like that. I don't want to affect that. So I took that leap and I was like, I need to go talk to someone professionally. And I did that, and it helped a lot.
Yeah.
Because you hear somebody say things out of different perspectives. They know, like, it's not that they're telling you what to do. They're just kind of reiterating the things that you say. So when somebody else says it to you, you're like, okay, wait, no, okay.
Yeah.
And your mind gets thinking about, okay, like, if this triggers something, then maybe I should do something else. So through all of that kind of stuff, taking small things of like taking walks outside for half an hour helped me clear my brain so much. Coming out of a different scenery, and even getting into painting, which is something so crazy.
Nice.
Yeah, like just like painting random like lines and circles and all that kind of stuff. Just like mentally like de-stresses you. So I think if you find a healthy hobby like that, like absolutely go for it. It wasn't the first hobby I tried. I tried several different ones, and other things frustrated me, but there was a couple things that stuck. But definitely, like, if you're feeling stressed out, like if there's somebody that you to talk to, whether it's a boyfriend or a family member, or if you really need to like go and talk to somebody professionally, I just highly do it. Like, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of the stigmatism that we have against mental health. Like, I'm a big advocate for it, and like I feel like everybody needs to do it. So again, if you need help, go get it. Trust me.
That's right.
There is no shame in it. And I think it's made me a happier person than I ever was. So
another thing that I found was really, really powerful and impactful to a lot of people is journaling.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're so used to having like issues and we just kind of document it in our minds, but we don't bother to pencil it on paper or even make a note of it on our phones or computers. But I feel like drafting out the thoughts and really categorizing it all and seeing it helps a lot to just have that visual. So I think similar to your art, which I'm sure helped you a lot to de-stress, very, very similar to the journaling, just to put everything out on paper and see it, it helps you to really direct the attention to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like journaling too, like you can, small things that you're grateful about, and you can show gratitude and stuff like that, that things that you wouldn't think of. So I think, journaling is a great idea, indigo.
Or the whole story. Just get one of those books. I don't have that much money, But yeah, definitely, it's a really good, like what you said before, you want to invest in yourself. And I think taking care of the mental health, like other people that just work and just sweep everything under the rug, and it's like, that's not fair. You can't just go to a party and distract yourself and just go to sleep and say, okay, tomorrow's a new day, it'll just be gone. Like, direct your attention to certain things and, try to clear it yourself, because if you just leave it unfixed, it's just not.
It's not going to get fixed.
It's just going to stay, right?
Yeah, the rug, the dust is going to get more and more and more and more.
That's right.
So, no, if you feel like you need help, or if you need an outlet or something, like definitely, like do your research and get your help. And it's, again, there's no shame in doing this. Like, especially with the time that we're in right now, being locked up. Some people are fortunate to have families that they live with, and there's some people who are not fortunate like that. They're by themselves, they're stuck in an apartment or a house by themselves. Like, that takes a mental toll on you, not seeing anybody, not interacting with anyone. So, again, like I said, some of us are fortunate to have family members and some of them are not. So if you do find that you do need some sort of outlet or some
reach
sort
out
of
to your circle and stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very, very beautifully said. So another question I have for you, what are some beliefs that you have for motivation, maybe quotes or anything that you've come across that have kind of helped you to get closer to your inspiration?
Again, like the quote I mentioned before, God doesn't give you more than you can handle. Anytime I was in kind of like a tough situation, I always thought about I thought about the times where there were tougher times for me too, and how I pushed through it, and I was able to get out of that situation. So thinking of the time when my mom was sick as well, like that was a lot of pressure put on to myself and my family and stuff like that. And my mom being basically the glue of our family, and just having her out and having her in the ICU for 3 weeks, and then in the hospital for like another 4 months, definitely put a big stress on our family. And thinking about that quote of like, God doesn't give you more than you can handle, like I felt like there was like that silver lining that I could, you know, one day there's at the end of that road there's gonna be that light, and I'm gonna see it, and I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna push through, and I'm gonna get there. So thinking about that all the time, you know, it really helped me a lot. And I also thought about like the quote that like also pushes me to do work harder. It's like work hard, play hard kind of thing, you know. So also, you know, as much as you work hard and you know you do whatever, if you have 2-3 jobs or whatever, you're pushing through, but you also have to enjoy that.
That's right.
Know?
Yeah.
Like all of us think of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work for this many years and then when I retire I'm gonna travel, whatever, but you're older by then, you know. Traveling when you're young versus traveling when you're older, there's 2 different experiences.
It is different, yeah.
So I understand we all like, I love the hustle between all the young, you know, young millennials that we have right now. People are buying houses and people are getting their career jobs, and like I love the hustle, but at the same time you also have to step back and be like, I want to enjoy my life and I want to enjoy the fruits of my labor and stuff like that. So I think that's very, very important. You know, you work hard, but you also play hard. Go on trips. Like you don't have to go away to like an all-inclusive for a week. You can go right in Ontario. You can go to Blue Mountain. You can go to Montreal. You can go like up north somewhere, whatever. But you're enjoying yourself with those who you love or your friends or whomever. I think it's really important for especially young millennials like us to understand that, okay, yeah, we're working hard and we're grinding hard, but we also need to use all of that grind and all of that fruits of our labor, but also enjoy it.
And I found that slowly a lot of people, like a lot more people are exploring the world as well. Like I'm seeing a lot more people traveling and, you know, just getting their lives like on track. People are getting married, people are doing whatever, but they're all doing it at different times. Like whereas before I feel like that cliche sort of feel of, okay, by this age I have to be married, I have to do this, I have to have this checklist done. People are kind of allowing that to just kind of be like forgotten and just doing whatever they believe in, which I feel like it's good. Everybody has their own path, everybody has their own story, so go along with that there,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I remember younger, like, you know, I always thought, like, yeah, at 25, I would be married, and by like 30, I'd have like 3 kids, and it's like, I'm close to like my 30s, and I'm not married, and I don't have kids. But that's okay. Like, you know, I am happy, and I'm content with how my life is going. So, again, I don't think anybody should have a checklist anymore. I think that's kind of like things that we thought when we were younger, but life is different. Life doesn't go by a checklist, basically. So you kind of just have to go with the flow of how things go and just do things as that make you happy.
That's right. So I know as a kid you were saying you always dreamt of being an adult, and now you are. What are some other goals that you had that maybe at a young age or even recently that you've accomplished?
Definitely finishing school.
Nice.
So that
what was it that you did?
So I went to Guelph Humber and I did business administration.
Nice.
So it was a 4-year program. I was very determined to go to university. That was just a thing that I wanted to do. And then my parents also instilled in us always, like, that somebody can take away everything from you, but they can't take away your education.
That's right.
So that's something that my parents, my mom and dad both instilled in me and my brother. So, and it's either you didn't have to go to university to get that knowledge. You could even go to college or trade school or wherever. But getting some sort of knowledge or some sort of education to help you progress in your life, I think is which is important. So for me, definitely like going to university and finishing my diploma and like getting that like degree and stuff like that, that was one of my biggest accomplishments in life. And after that, I actually bought a car. So that was something, another accomplishment that I wanted to do. You know, with me driving at 16, I was like always dreamed of my dream car. So a couple of years after I graduated, I had a full-time job, so I decided to buy a car. So those are 2 things that I, growing up, I really wanted. So I definitely accomplished that.
Good on you. Good stuff. All right, so we're gonna take a quick break, and we're gonna continue with this question shortly. All right, so very, very nice to hear about all those motivational things that you've been saying. So I want to know, what are 3 people or 2 people in a situation or any combination of the 2 that have been motivating you?
Definitely my biggest motivation is my family.
Nice.
Both of my parents came up here from Guyana when they were like in their like late teens, I believe, early 20s. So they kind of just built everything for me, my brother. And so thinking about like the things that they kind of couldn't do, like my parents wanted to travel a lot, my mom especially as well. And seeing that their aspirations like that, they kind of just wished by us. Really is a motivation, and they've done so much for us, and it's like really, really empowering that, you know, they gave us a life that they didn't have.
Mm-hmm.
And so I definitely want to do as much as I can, you know, to make them proud. You know, there's always that West thing you say, like, don't make my hand fall. So that's essentially, I don't want them to ever, like, be ashamed of me or be, you know, disappointed in me and stuff like that. Even situations where I think I'm disappointed in myself and I vent to them or confide in them.
Of course, yeah.
They're not ashamed of me or they're not disappointed in me, and it just makes me show, like, how much more I appreciate them and how much more I'm motivated by them. Especially my parents, like, they were actually in an arranged marriage and they've been together for 25 years, which is so
nice,
beautiful.
Yeah.
So even their love together and, like, you know, through all the hard times they stuck together and whatever, I think is so inspirational and so motivating. Even, you know, taking away from their relationship to, like, put towards my relationship with my current boyfriend. So they're a big motivator in my life, and my brother especially too. I want him to always, you know, see that he has, like, a successful big sister, you know, that she's done so much in life and she's such a hardworking person and all that kind of stuff. I want to see him like that, and I hope that I can inspire him to be the same.
Yeah. Or
kind of give him that same kind of drive. So definitely every time I'm in a tough situation or something like that, I always confide in my family, and you know, hopefully talking to the three of them always kind of gives me a better understanding of what I should do or how I should progress through the situation. So definitely never want to be my family.
Yeah, family is definitely everything. Like, for me, I have my sisters, my mom and my dad, and, like, when we do things together, it just feels so fulfilling and so beautiful. I think for our parents, both yours and mine, being first-gen Canadians for us now, it's a lot of pressure.
Oh yeah,
we got to pave the way for, you know, the next gen and, you know, adapt and learn about the society. What are some of the things that your parents kind of told you about, like, becoming, you know, first Canadians and stuff?
Again, like, it's, like, very hard. Like, back in, like, when they came in, like, you know, culturally wise, like, there wasn't a lot of, like, brown people around and stuff like that. So they kind of, like, went through that whole, like, racism section, and, like, you know, my dad, like, always, like, taught us, you know, stand our ground, and my mom especially too. She's like, if somebody is, like, telling you wrong or right or whatever, like, you are right, you stand your ground and you push through that. She's like, and especially now, like, being so educated and stuff like that, you know, going through, like, high school and, like, getting our degree and stuff like that, like, we're educated, like, there shouldn't people be there to take advantage of you, and like, you know, especially the color of our skin and stuff like that, we shouldn't be taken advantage of from. You know, we are smart, we are progressing, like, so I think for those kind of things of, like, the things that they went through, they don't want us to go through that as well. So I think that's why it was so important for us to, you know, get a good education and be able to stand our ground and stuff like that. So I think just hearing from their situations of what they went through and how much they don't want us to go through it. Obviously, sometimes you can't prevent things like that and things happen, but I think through that definitely motivates us to kind of just do better and definitely make them proud.
Wonderful. Have you always lived here in North York?
Yes, I've always lived here. Except for when I was, like, younger, when I was, like, 3, we moved to Brampton for, like, 6 months, and then that was it. My mom was like, no, we're coming back here.
More comfortable with the familiar.
Yeah, the familiar, like, we always lived in the North York area, and then moving to Brampton was kind of like a culture shock for my parents. And they also worked up in North York as well, so I think the distance and the driving and all that kind of stuff, so we just moved there for 6 months. It was a beautiful house from what I remember. And then we moved back here to North York, and we've been in this house for 23 years now.
Nice. It's definitely seeing you grow.
Definitely seeing us grow through birthday parties, anniversaries, you know. So many different. We've actually had weddings here too, which is kind of not my own. A couple of my cousins actually got married in this house, so
that's good.
Everybody's considered this house to be very blessed. So I definitely hope that this stays in our family as well.
That is beautiful. What are some of the circumstances that you face, like, growing up being, like, again, the first gen Canadian?
I think a lot of it has to do with, like, being a first gen Canadian, like, I think growing up, it was hard to kind of get, like, help from our parents, because, you know, like, you know, when you come home with homework and all that kind of stuff, and, like, a lot of people can, like, people who are not first gen Canadian, they can go to their parents for help and stuff like that, but with us, it was kind of, like, a little bit more difficult. So I think with that kind of sense, like, getting homework help and all that kind of growing up was kind of harder.
I remember, like, long division.
Yeah, I still can't do long division. Like, okay, thank God for computers and cell phones. I cannot still do long division. So yeah, small things like that,
Yeah.
like, you know, like spelling of words and doing math and like language and stuff like that. Those kind of things were so hard growing up, being a first-gen Canadian. And then after, like, I'm also the first person in my family to have a degree and to go to university. So I think a lot of pressure was built onto that as well. Like, you know, I always just wanted to do right. I don't think I did absolutely well with grades, but I still passed.
Yeah.
Which I think is important.
Yeah.
So I think having that pressure too of being the first-gen Canadian and like the first person in my family to kind of pave that path. So a little hardships and stuff like that, but then again, my family's been very supportive, and you know, my mom and my dad helped us as much as they could, you know, whatever they could. But definitely like small things like that were kind of difficult growing up.
Nice. So mom and dad definitely huge motivators for you.
Absolutely.
What's another factor?
I think another big motivator in my life is doing good. I kind of got into this more when just before the pandemic started. I was working at a job and I felt like I wasn't making a difference anywhere. And growing up, I always wanted to kind of work for a nonprofit, but there was always a stigmatism of like, oh, nonprofits are like, you don't get a lot of money, or you know, it's not, you know, the person has to work so long, and da 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 da. But I chose to not do it. Basically, I kept on going to the corporate world, and I kept on, you know, pushing through into corporate jobs and stuff like that. But I still felt no sense of like wholeness kind of thing. I was just doing something, and I was just doing an 9-to-5 job. I never felt no like kind of like happiness inside of me. So then I decided to finally quit my job and kind of just take a breather and kind of figure out really what I wanted to do. And I fell upon this job that I have now, which is a nonprofit job, and it's a really great job.
Nice.
Yeah. And all the stigmatism that I had before and all the words that like are completely out the window now. And just doing small things of like, I'm not directly working with the patients and stuff like that, but I am helping with the admin work.
Contributing in some way.
And I remember it's just like, when I was thinking about it during the holiday break, it's like, I finally feel like I finally got to a place in my life where I am happy with my job.
Good, yeah.
Which is something so nice, because it's also like, okay, I'm working with something I'd like to do, but I also have that aspect of that motivation of like be doing good in life.
Yeah.
And alongside with that, you know, I'm also like donating to more charities and stuff like that. And last year, around this time, for my mom's birthday, we made a whole bunch of bags with like food and drinks and socks and all that kind of stuff, like warm things, and we took it downtown and we gave to homeless people.
Yeah, definitely much needed. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It was amazing. And like just doing small things like that, like it was so fulfilling. And just looking back on 2021, yeah, we were in this pandemic and it was like, you know, not the greatest year, but just doing small things like that like made it a better year.
Yeah. They say to do something that you enjoy. Sounds like you definitely found a bunch of things.
Yeah, I did find a lot of things. So I think doing good has been a recent motivator that's been pushing me into doing it's paving me into the road that I want to go into.
I like that one, like the sense of the fulfillment or accomplishment coming from that action of doing good kind of makes you feel more motivated, makes you to continue to want to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, you know, even going through that into like a broader perspective, like, you know, doing small things. Because when I think about it now, it's like, yeah, I've been doing good things all my life, but I never thought of it like that. It's just like a regular thing. Like if you go on vacation to an all-inclusive, a lot of people take like dollar store stuff to give away to the maids.
Yeah.
You don't think of it as like, oh, it's a big thing, but for them, it's like a huge thing for them. You know, they don't get those kind of supplies and things that we take for granted over here. So I think helping out, also in an international perspective too, which is something that I would like to do in the future. So that's another, again, being a good person and being good and doing good definitely is gonna motivate me to kind of bring it to a more broader international.
Yeah, I think one person alone can't change the world, but like collectively, I think if more people start to think that way, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can't change it like tomorrow, like it's gonna take the time, but if you take one step forward, like it's gonna get there eventually.
Nice.
Yeah.
And we were talking earlier about like having kids and all that kind of stuff in the future and teaching them certain fundamentals. What are 2 things that you think you'd want to like tell them to continue to achieve for?
Definitely I would tell them to achieve like, again, personal development, personal growth. I think you always should put yourself first. That's what I kind of did throughout school and throughout growing up and stuff like that. I always put myself first. it may sound a little bit selfish, but at the end of the day, if you're no matter what, you have to rely on yourself. Mm-hmm. So you have to have your, you know, your knowledge about your basic needs and, you know, your education and like taking care of your health and taking care of your body and your mind. You need to put yourself first in order for you to help other people.
Not just work, work, work.
Exactly. So I really want to instill, like, you know, doing little hobbies and like all that kind of stuff, like investing in yourself and keeping yourself happy as a whole, I think is really important, that I want to instill into my children. And also I want to instill like also just like kind of perspective of like doing good and bad, and like, you know, a lot of people will be controversial about that. It's like, oh, this is good, but no, this is bad, and all that kind of stuff. But I want to kind of instill into them like either religion or some sort of scripture or something like that they can rely on when they're in a situation where they are ethically challenged, or like they don't know what they should do. I want them to know, okay, this is what you think you should do, and kind of like, I want you to be the advocate for yourself.
Nice.
And then growing up, I think that will help them in their life when they're in situations where they have to make that tough decision. So kind of just being, again, independent and, you know, working on yourself and just taking care of yourself first, and then you can take care of others.
I feel like for our parents' generation, their parents would have shown them, okay, this is the way, you gotta follow it. This is another way, like, you gotta follow it. This is the wrong way, don't follow this one. And like they're being told the rules, being sort of just led in such a way that like, this is authoritative, this is how it has to be. But now like we're kind of being able to broaden our horizon and do more.
Absolutely.
So I think that's really cool. What's one more situation that maybe motivated you?
Another situation that motivated me, or another thing that motivates me, is definitely my passion for traveling. You know, again, like growing up, we went to like a couple different places, and then just wanting to experience culture and wanting to experience other people's lives and how they grow up and how they live and stuff like that. I think that really deepens our gratitude for what we have here. And, you know, obviously in the hustle bustle, we don't think about the small things that make us who we are today, or that even help us in our day-to-day life. And I think sometimes we need to step back and kind of like go and explore and find those things. And look at what other countries and other people and how they live and stuff like that. And then I think that brings much more gratitude and appreciation for what we have today. So I think definitely traveling, and I'm not talking about traveling like all inclusive stuff like that. I want to really like go and like see like these communities and these locals and like live with them and kind of like you know, do things with them and stuff like that. That's why they're so amazing that they have like these like gecko tours and all that kind of stuff, that you really can go and spend time with locals. And I think that is the traveling that I want to do. I don't want to do like the cliche like all inclusives and this and that. I want to kind of go and like learn these cultures, learn these experiences.
That's very different from people thinking of like, okay, just go to a resort, drink, enjoy, and do the same thing in a different resort, same place, like same thing over and over. But I think with your perspective there, it's like just experiencing the different characteristics of different places, living conditions, and all those things.
And that's what I'm hoping, like, you know, going through that, maybe, you know, someday in my career, again, I can work for another organization that works for an international perspective like that. So I think all of this kind of ties in together, and I think, you know, with all these motivations and all these motivators in my life right now, I think it's pushing me into a really good direction, and I'm really excited about it.
That's good. Very, very good stuff. I just want to ask one last question. What is a time that maybe you made a mistake of some sort that sort of helped change you in a better way?
Definitely, I think when I was in between jobs, I was very, very desperate, very, you know, anxiety. Like, it was kind of anxiety. Like, I just need to find a job. I need to find a job. I need to find a job. So I was kind of pushing out resumes there, and I wasn't getting callbacks. And it was so frustrating because it's like, you know, you're thinking that your resume is so amazing and stuff like that, and like you're just not getting any calls back, and it's so demoralizing. And it's just like, it just really brings your like your emotional state so down.
You put so much effort in that.
Exactly, and it's just like, what the heck is going on? Why are you calling me? So anyways, I decided, so I finally got a call back from somebody, and it was through email and stuff like that, and they wanted to be a personal assistant for this photographer. So I was like, okay, this sounds like a good gig, you know, work from home, da-da-da. But I was also having my radar up, was like, okay, you know, I don't want to get scammed kind of thing, right? So I did all my due diligence. I found this photographer, everything like that. And I said, yeah, sure. So at the end of it, it was a scam, which was devastating because not only I didn't have a full-time job, I was also scammed into $4,000.
Oh no.
That I had to pay back to the bank. And again, like it's like a situation where it's like you're broke and then you're really, really broke.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was such a situation that really opened my eyes on like, you know, again, doing your due diligence and all that kind of stuff. And it's like I felt like so upset with myself because I was like, Paulenia, you are such a smart person. How did you miss this? And I was so ashamed of it as well. And it was like, I was so ashamed of myself. And I was like, people are going to think I'm so stupid. Like, oh my gosh, she didn't see that. Like, what's wrong with her? And then when I look back at all this stuff and stuff like that, I did my due diligence, you know? And I was just a person who needed a job. And it was so heartbreaking. And after that, I had a friend who actually helped me out to get a job. And once she did get me that job, it was a job that paid me into the job that I'm getting today.
Nice.
So with that situation that I was put into a job where I was gonna eventually get into my dream job, which I feel like is still paving the path to that today. So yes, I think of it as like, oh my god, it was such a very unfortunate event, but I also think it was kind of a bit of a blessing in disguise that kind of pushed me into what I want to do today.
That's good. Sometimes like the worst mistakes turn us into the best people possible.
Yeah.
Like I've learned from so many bad decisions that like you learn from. Because if you don't make those mistakes, you're not gonna know, or you have to continue trying. Like you don't just give up and say, okay, the what ifs. So it's really good that you tried that, and mistakes are still gonna happen.
Yeah, we're always gonna learn from our mistakes. Always. I make constant mistakes, and I'm constantly learning from them. Yeah. And if you're not making mistakes and you're not learning from them, like I feel like you're never gonna progress in life. You're doing the same constant mediocre thing every single day, and you're not taking not you're not doing challenges and stuff like that. You're not gonna learn, and I think that's something very important for us to understand, that we are learning every single day. You know, we just didn't learn when we were in school. You learn in life. You know, small things like that. I learned how to change my tire this year, and I never had to change it before. So like small things like that, like, you know, learning how to like set up my own home office, and like, you know, a lot of DIY projects and stuff like that. It's like small things like that, like, you know, you're constantly learning. And I think that's another big motivator for me too. Like I'm constantly learning. I'm constantly have this growth and this hunger to learn. You know, and it doesn't have to only be like about an education or whatever. Like small things like DIY in houses, or even like again my car situation. So things like that. And I think that's really important for people to know today, like especially like our generation and stuff like that, younger generations too. Like you're always gonna learn. And you just have to learn things that you want to learn, or even if you learn things that are random, but trust me, somehow it's gonna be useful.
It will. Well, maybe not those theories in math and stuff. I don't know if I'm ever gonna use those, but you know, maybe one day I will. I don't know. I'm gonna measure something about the dollar and rice to for it. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, we're gonna take one more break before we wrap it up. Alright, very, very nice session there. I really enjoyed learning so many cool things about you. I'm very, very motivated and inspired.
I'm glad.
So it looks like we're all done. All the questions that I wanted to ask. Are there any last words that you'd like to say to anybody? Any quotes? Anything there?
I just want to say, especially the time that we're in, try and be happy as much as you can. And whether it's with, you know, your boyfriend or your partner or your girlfriend or your family, just be happy. And I think that's the most important thing that I think I want to say to everybody. I think it's hard, especially in the time that we're in. You know, we're constantly grinding and working and hustling and stuff like that. And I think it's very important to step back and be like, no, I just want to lay on the couch and watch TV, or I want to go and cook something. I think it's really important for you to take that time for your, you know, your mental and your body and your mind and everything. I think it's really important for us to step back and do that for ourselves. Be kind to yourselves. And then be kind to others as well.
With people getting more accustomed with the circumstances and just being adapted to it, they're slowly getting into more work, taking on more shifts, a bit of normality. And they're kind of forgetting that family dynamic again, and like that time to just chill, just relax. So yeah, we definitely need to remember that.
Yeah,
but,
love yourselves first, please.
Yes, definitely. Self-love is super important, and the mental health that you've spoken about before definitely needs to be remembered by everybody.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, there's no shame in asking for help. There's no shame in talking about it. You know, I think the more that we talk about it, the more it becomes normalized, which I think is going to help a lot of other people. And I think, you know, making it normalized, you know, will help other people to get help and, you know, to understand that, you know, along with when our bodies get sick and we come down with a flu or a migraine or whatever, just like our minds get sick, essentially, you know.
Yeah.
We get, you know, some people go into depression, anxiety,
overcome
and like
thoughts,
overcome, and you get overrun and you get overburdened. And I think it's so important to take care of yourself, because again, if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for your time. This was a
Thank you.
lot of fun. All the best to you.
Thank you.